Greetings, market rebels. Welcome to this week's macro measure combined with, let's see, sector situation. It's Sunday, January 26th. It's about 4:20 p.m. here on the East Coast. I'm Wayne, and it's been absolutely brutal the last few weeks, mainly due to Microsoft. So this is all new. I just got this computer running after fighting with it for weeks, so I'm trying to take care of this video. I'm sorry it's going to get out late. It's very hard to do on my laptop. Laptop's kind of a mess too. Uh, so my apologies. Anyway, here's our trusty market rebellion disclaimer. Here's our trusty intellectual property rights notice. Here is last week's macro measure and sector situation, I guess, slide. This was, probably the last thing I was able to do before the latest leg of the Mr. Shafty death march that I was forced to embark on. I just did a couple of highlights. My recollection is because my head is spinning and I'm not making excuses, but I'm just wiped out, just mentally, physically wiped out, mentally from just the frustration, physically from just working on this after the close all week long, and then really for the second weekend in a row. And I've been having problems with Microsoft for months, and I came within a whisker of just going to the Apple store and buying an Apple computer and ordering some type Apple related hardware so I could run all 6 monitors and just saying to hell with it. That's how. But I don't know. I don't even know what stopped me, frankly. But yeah. So just to get back to the point, we thought that they would look like they were ready to launch another leg higher. We thought there was a runway in place for that, and maybe because they often do with EPS right in front of EPS or leading up to EPS. That's the quick and dirty wrap. Here's the quickest and dirtiest, and the damned. The damned would be me. It's quick and dirty 9. I'm just coming up with a number out of thin air. We've been doing quick and dirty for so long I can't even remember. And as I said, I'm just spent from utter frustration. Very few times in my life have I been more frustrated than I've been in the past few weeks, and certainly the last couple of months of just fighting with this computer that it should be all set up to run. And I had to go to level 3 tech support or something with Microsoft because the first few levels couldn't fix it. So I thought it was fixed, and then it did an update, and then after the update, I was in hell all over again, and it won't recognize 64 gigs of RAM that I tried adding to it. So I'm just, as I said, you could sense I'm just at wit's end with this utter madness. It really is utter madness that people have to go through this kind of crap. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't have any prep time. It's already going out super late. So no prep, no time, and the too much tech risk, that applies to me because this thing could start freezing up and crashing on me all over again anytime. So I just wanted to note that around my utter frustration and contempt for certain companies that deepened this past week and this weekend again. I saw on X that some folks were laughing off the breadth concerns that some folks were expressing, let's say in early to mid-Jan, when we were at that sort of double bottom stage. We were referring to it as possible double bottom. Otherwise, if it doesn't double bottom around there, we're in big trouble. I don't really think that's a laughing matter to laugh that stuff off, but some well-known players kind of were because we got a bounce. I think it's kind of silly because I do think that these breadth things are worth keeping an eye on. That it's not like you should just panic because breadth problems are are unfolding or worsening, but they often have, you don't really see them too often when things are going really well, but when in front of problematic periods, you often do see that there has been a lead up of breadth sort of hints or warnings, right, or signals coming from the fact that market breadth really wasn't that great. You can see there's a typo there, not rev cover, recover. I had to do this really quick. I would say, look, with USD and TNX, in other words, with the dollar and yields backing off recently, keep an eye on those. We really want to see that, I think, continue ideally. If that sort of has that pullback that was, we have a pullback that was due in both of them, and then they just start bidding these things after that. I think that's not good to see those things start coming back up again. So I would still stick with the don't allow them to lull you. Hopefully, this will still lead to a strong leg up, but I do think we got a little vertical, and I don't think you can rule out a little backup because I do know what happened in, say, SPY or the Qs or whatnot. So on that note, going to pause, stop the share, and reposition everything so that we can get going on it. I'm going to do it as quick as I can. As I said, I'm living in fear over what could happen. Let's see, where's my charts? I'm living in fear that I could crash at any moment. And let's see where we are. Okay, that's popping up. I feel like I am crashing. I feel like I'm crashing here. I hope I didn't crash. That's all I can say right now. It's been fun. So right away, let's get into these sectors, right? So overall, I'm going to take a look at some things that just really stick out to me on these because this sort of relates to the market breadth. And what energy had a little bit of a give back, and that's kind of the verticalness that I'm thinking about when in the market hasn't gotten this vertical for that long, but the market did really just relentlessly grind up or pop up. And so usually when you get really vertical, you do get a little bit of a pullback. That could be happening there. I don't want to go into that. I don't have enough time to review all that stuff due to circumstances. This is all, as I said, it's already getting out late. But the two biggies wasn't a great finish for XLK, but I think XLK and XLC finishing the way they did and performing the way they did overall, that's good continuation. You have to be a little worried about that XLK reversal on Friday, but could have been just profit taking and maybe a little bit extra. But I think you got XLF real estate came back, XLV came back. I saw that we had some ideas in that one. You do see better XLP behaving a little better. It looks like poised really to try to continue to pop higher. The XLY, the discretionary, not a great week, right? Considering what the market did, kind of sideways action. It's going to happen sometimes. I mean, clearly you got this little mini range you should probably look at there. Call it 229, call it 232. Those are your levels at which you start thinking that support or resist, the immediate nearby support and resistance are either breaking or giving way or whatever the case may be. XTN, again, sort of along for the ride to an extent, but sort of doing the XTN thing, which is another way of saying trading unimpressively. Is this, we are seeing, let's see what it's showing here. I want to make sure is this showing the right thing? I'm afraid this is not showing the right thing. Wow. Okay. So, wow. I don't know what it's even screen 4, I think. I don't even know what it's showing here. Well, I don't even know where this thing picked up and left off. So I'm just going to keep going. And if the video's a disaster, we'll just have to shelve it and we'll issue apologies. XLB, XLI, similar overall up, but right, kind of a little bit hesitantly. XLU, similar, right? So there's kind of your quick look if everything recorded at the sectors. But I would say overall, it's sort of more of the same where you get some good stuff mixed in with some things that are not that impressive. And so you really want to see breadth come back a little more forcefully there, and you're really not getting it. If we are in fact recording, wow, this is really fighting with me already. Here's the breadth look that we usually go to. This has the spies up top, and you can see that everything really did start improving. So we kind of had that continuation last week of the sort of double bottom we were expecting potentially the prior week, and it was not really a double bottom. What they did really, as I'm sure everyone remembers, we were looking at it saying, okay, maybe they try to double bottom this thing from here. They sort of did and didn't. They dropped it down with a nice little fake out breakdown in SPY at the top, then reversed it all that day. If you remember, they just gapped it lower Monday and then moved it up pretty much the rest of the week. We thought there should be a continuation. They should try to launch another leg higher. They did do that, but you see, you can't really complain all too much about it. But you'll note that the breadth readings here are better, right? But they're not really resoundingly strong. So they're overall, it's not really something I think you can see yourself in the charts, but you can just take it from me like this is a nice little improvements. These are nice improvements, and some of them are doing really well. But overall, you would like to have seen more now that you're making right a new all-time high. So hopefully that'll still show up. It could still show up. Hopefully it will. But again, that just sort of points to the fact that there are some issues that are sprinkled in there. If I can, I'm going to try to go to, let's see. No, that's not going to let me do that. Wow, this is tough. This is tough right now. Let me try to bring this over here then, maybe. And I did have some stuff up, but it's not allowing me to do that right now. So what I'm going to do here is switch over on my trading view to the SPY, and let me get that up for starters. Let's do all classics. Oh yeah, so this is what I wanted to do right here. Let's see if it lets me do this. We're going to try that. Okay, so it is, that sort of did work. I'm just going to minimize my basic indicators in the middle there, and I'm going to try to improve this because I really think this bread thing is that people are already laughing off is not usually a good thing to laugh off, and that's about as big. I guess that's as big as we can get it. I hope everyone could see that, but you can see, right? I think you could see overall how the cumulative advanced decline line was doing really well as the market just continued to motor higher into what ended up being a problematic December. But you could see that overall there was pretty good health there. This is the breadth stuff I've been talking about becoming sort of sliding off. You could see it dropping below the moving average, that green moving average, which is the longest term moving average there on this indicator. And so you can see that we've been in this sort of tougher period for the market, and you can see how breadth has been acting, right? So the laugh off to me, I'm not sure what that's all about. Maybe there were people out there saying we're on the verge of cracking for real, and I don't know, the usual silly arguments that go on, whatever the case may be. But they did definitely come in the last couple of weeks and start to improve it. But you will notice, right, that if you want to believe there could be a double top, and I'm not saying that there will be, I'm saying if you just want to entertain that idea, there is a divergence here between the market breadth we already saw on Thinkorswim, our typical view we look at, and also here, right? So to me, I wouldn't laugh this off, especially the vertical nature of this. I don't want to start putting lines underneath this. This is kind of all completely done on the fly. It's just something I knew from looking at it during the week when between bouts of living hell. So I just wanted to note this because I don't think it's a minor thing. I hope it's a minor thing. I don't think it's a minor thing from all the decades, well, 3+ decades of charting that I've done. It's just not a small thing in my book. So I'm going to go with that. You just shouldn't get lulled into a false sense of security. Remember, we do have earnings coming up. Earnings, usually the runway into earnings in a bull market, which I think we're still in given the long-term trends, usually that works out in the bull's favor. Remember, the engineering puts about 3/4 of stocks over the beat line anyway. People will say it's not by design, but again, if you're really putting out fair estimates, you'd end up with a consensus where it would be like a beat, it should be somewhere around 50. So the bias is clearly there. To management sandbags, Wall Street analysts sandbag a little, and then everybody wins is how it works, and that's fine. But it's just the way that it is, and I have to think it should be. I think it should be couched that way. But you can see here Q's, right? Really a nice recovery, double top, slightly lower high. Things could get interesting. You've got gaps. It's similar, right, to SPY, but a really good bounce back. You really want to see this continue to improve. It doesn't have to improve, Monday morning, but you really do want to see this continue to improve where they start to come after more and more stocks. So if they don't do that, not a good look. That you just have this persistent problem. It's not something I'd fight against, though, as long as the momentum's still there, because remember, we've made the case many times, and that you really do want to see things come along when they do. That's the best times, when so many stocks are going for the ride. But because of the weightings of the megas, they can keep the whole market, or I should say the index, rolling along relatively well just by continuing to go after we're levitating just a few names, as everyone knows. So here's IWM. I'm jumping into there. Still, right, the major laggard, still with all the untapped potential. It's under the 50 SMA there. That's really the last of them, right? So it's right under there. Let's see what happens there. If you get back above here, that's a good sign, and that could open up more space for it. I would extend this line here now that I'm jumping around, because I sort of have to. I had a crash in Zoom, like I said. I hope this is recording. I hope it's one cohesive video. I really don't know what happened there. Anyway, this would be the line I would extend, and these things matter in my book in the future. So if you start going up, you're really not out of the woods, and you're not feeling better until you get above there. And I think that's probably around 238-ish, right? That you got to get to. That puts you within striking distance of the 245 high that we dealt with before, right? So that's and that goes back to another one. I guess I will go way back, but you got to go way back here. So you can see those two tops are very similar. So we've been talking about this now, it feels like years, and you just haven't gotten back there, right? So that's the sign that a lot of people would like to see that, and that would really help out breadth, right? If these small caps start to improve, and that would give you good warm and fuzzy vibrations on the economy overall. But that is certainly not out of the woodwork. It definitely has, even if it does get above the 50, that would be nice. You could get a good pop. I still think it has to retake that now resistance line, which was a support line, that's still there in kind of like that blue color. Let's flip over to the diamonds, since we haven't talked about those. Diamonds, a lot of gap type of behavior here. So you are not. That's the interesting thing with all this kind of verticalness. I'll try to extend now that we looked at the fact that breadth is just not all that spectacular. We try to take that down. Oops, I keep grabbing the wrong one, grabbing the wrong window there. Let's try to get these guys to show better now. Well, I might have to reload. I think I might have SPY. I think I might just, yeah, there you go. If I come back to there. So overall, you got up there. You were almost at 70 for sticklers, but you didn't quite get there. So I think that, let me move this up and get us a better view. So I think it wouldn't be crazy to just given the nature, like I said, to have a little bit of a pullback. And I don't know how the earnings shake out, when the intensity really picks up, but it wouldn't be crazy to have a little pullback, kind of either fill some gaps in some of these things, or just find support on an SMA or flat line, just cool it off a little bit, and then start to get ready to rumble, right? This would be sort of a news neutral environment where there's no bombshells hitting, geopol, all the rest, political stuff, domestically, all that kind of thing. Then I would think normal behavior would be, slight pullback, hold more than likely, and then try to make a run into and using the EPS to justify things as they often do. We probably would be making a mistake if we didn't at least try to take a look at SMH, really just confounding so many that have waited for this, even out the apex of the triangle. Let me try to pull a line here just to make it work a little bit better. And then I'll pull this one here and just make this go up here so we can talk about the apex of this triangle just to get an idea. I've drawn better, but you get the idea. And so you broke out, it was a false breakout here. Then there was a false breakdown here. Then they just did what they usually do when they chase people out and get too many people on the wrong side of the boat. And then, right, you have this false breakout above here. Now they're pulling it back from there. So when we talk about why you have to watch it, and you should watch it, that kind of thing, that's our take on it. You could see that so many people are watching it because they're really shredding people that are kind of buying the breakouts or buying puts on the breakdowns because it is so widely watched and the potential's there and for just dramatic movement, especially if the trend continues and so on and so forth. But an ugly day. Clearly, right, that would be a similar thing, maybe a little bit more of a pullback. And then if it holds at a higher level, that would be a good sign there, which a lot of I would call the base camp. If it kind of holds up towards this higher level, just pulls back a little more, holds, and then starts to go again. It should have been like kind of like pop, cool off, tread water, start rolling higher, right? That would be great. That would be great overall. It'd be great for the market. There'd be a lot of good UOA trades, would be my presumption, all that kind of thing. So I think for quick and dirty, we might have gotten there. Let me just try to do DXY. I'm going to do it here. I feel like Thinkorswim gives me trouble along with Microsoft, along with Zoom, the whole works. But there's the dollar. That does look a little. This is coming into a flat line, so you might as well say like 10. I would say probably like 106.70. So a little bit further down gets you towards a flat line. 106.70. We could ballpark it. Doesn't hold there. It opens up. I think much more downside potential down towards. I shouldn't get away from this. We're talking about it probably down here towards the 100-day. 100 SMA. So right there, about 105, and you're like, oh wow, big deal, right? But yeah, in terms of what this kind of movement, that would be a pretty good continuation, a larger retracement essentially. And then I don't know what's going to show up here for. It looks like because I usually I'm so used to working with Thinkorswim for these, I usually do that. But TNX is TNX. So again, yields did back off. They're kind of holding near where you would expect them to, I think, right? Somewhere in here, you can see if we come into here, this is sort of the bottom. After it popped above there, it held about, it tried to break through there, this over in here, held for a little bit and then fell back down. That's sort of an area there. This high is near it. These lows are near it. So it's coming down towards that. It's got a little support there. It held above there so far, tried to pop through the SMAs that are now kind of messy, a little noisy, couldn't do it. And now, right, we have to see, can they pull it off to keep things moving up? Will yields keep moving up on this week, or will they, or will they retreat and test this level again? And then if they don't hold there, you start looking at your next levels down. But that's really, that's very interesting because you have the dollar and you have the yields rolling over and you've got the earnings runway, as I'm calling it. It should be more of a continuation. And I think breadth should improve and things should start looking better, especially if SMH really finally joins the fray. If we get alternatives to that scenario, then it probably everything else leads to a more dicey situation. There's really not much else for me to go into because of the lack of prep time and so on and so forth. So I think I'm just going to wrap it there. And I apologize. There's just very little I can do about where I am tech-wise. I've been I need a vacation from the tech horrors I've been dealing with. It's really been going on now for a couple of months, but every time I get things seemingly, running smoothly and being dialed in, it just something else happens. And Microsoft, I think it was Microsoft updates got me this time. I think an update didn't finish. It sort of acted like the power went out type of a thing, and then between that and the RAM ad, it didn't like that, and boy, it's just been a living hell trying to get this thing to work. And I've got all these things set up on here and all, just like everyone, all my personal, I'm sure I've got things stored in the cloud and all that, but there's a lot of other stuff that just I don't want to have to that's set up here with my settings, and I just don't want to have to abandon that. And but I'm getting close. If I can't get this thing to really act smoothly, I'm going to be just saying the hell with it and just going to buy an Apple machine. I've got a really good computer person telling me just your life will change. Just it'll end. You'll leave. You'll have to adjustment phase for Apple, but you won't be in the living hell you're in so frequently with Microsoft. So I'm thinking about it very seriously if I don't get this surmounted soon. So on that note, I'm just wrapping it up. I do want to again apologize. I hopefully will get back on track very soon. It's very hard to work during the day, during the week with my laptop. I'm so used to having these six screens or 4 or 6 screens running that are really just make it so much more efficient. And but again, I'm in betwixt and between. So I'll wish everyone a great week ahead. I hope something that I was able to come up with on the fly helps you out a little bit this week or some week in the future. And everyone take care. I hope you're all doing well.